Hello, my name is John Townsend, and this is my sermon manuscript assignment. I've titled this sermon "The Recognition and the Calling," and this sermon is based in Isaiah chapter 6. We're talking about Isaiah's great vision and what became of that. So, oftentimes, when we consider the prophets of the Old Testament, our minds are filled with visions and stories of great men and women of God. Uh, However, we often forget that they too were men and women who had to first recognize the greatness of God, and also that we are mere humans saved by His grace. And as we begin reading in Isaiah, uh, we can see that He is given a peek into the vast glory that surrounds the one true God. It is during this vision that we see Isaiah witness this glory and recognize the dire circumstances of his own impurities and iniquities. It's by this token we are made equals with Isaiah. However, God does not desire that we stay in this status of uncleanliness and worthiness. And so we ask the question, what did Isaiah see to make him realize his own plot in life? In verses 1 through 4, Isaiah describes in detail the glory and the scene of God's throne room, the grandeur of the throne room of God. That is, God sitting on his throne, high and lifted. The train of his robe filled the temple, and the seraphim crying out, shaking foundations, and the sheer holiness described in the scene put into perspective his own lot in life. And it is my belief that Isaiah probably struggled to put into words uh, how awesome and mighty this event truly was. But this begs the question, how can anyone withstand the glory of God and live? And the truth be told, we can't. This is why the prophet, the messenger of God, cries out, "Woe is me! I'm ruined." And Isaiah clearly understood that there was nothing he can do, even if he lived forever, to earn the vision of which he was bearing witness to. And the fact of the matter is this: we are the same as Isaiah was. There's nothing we can do to earn the love and forgiveness of God. But there's no other, there's no way either Isaiah himself or we ourselves can make ourselves worthy of the grace of God. So God himself makes a way. Verses 5 through 9, Isaiah realizes he is ruined without the purifying and sanctifying grace of God. Isaiah laments his uncleanliness and confesses his unworthiness. And it's at this point the seraphim takes the coal from the altar and purifies Isaiah with it, making Isaiah worthy to stand in the presence of the Lord. And like Isaiah, once we confess our sin and iniquities to God, God will purify and cleanse us with his own grace and mercy. This grace and mercy is brought about through a sacrifice. For Isaiah, a seraphim took a live coal from the altar and touched Isaiah's lips with it. In order for there to be a coal in the altar, though, a sacrifice had to have taken place. In our case, that sacrifice is the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Because there is nothing we can do to justify ourselves, God sent his only Son to be that sacrifice. Again, there's nothing we can do in our own power to earn a place in the presence of the Almighty God. We can't bleed enough to cover our own sin, and it took the blood of a spotless, pure lamb to blot out our sin. We ourselves cannot make ourselves worthy of the Lord. It takes the purification that only God himself can provide. We must first realize that the creator of the universe is above all else holy. He cannot and will not stand in the presence of sin. Our sin makes us unworthy of him. However, we do not have to remain in that sin. God provides a way back to him. The same way he did for the prophet Isaiah, a sacrifice had to be made, and that last sacrifice ever needed was provided by the Lord's Son, Jesus Christ. And once we come to the realization of our own unworthiness, like Isaiah, we confess that sin to him who can purify us. And like Isaiah, once we receive that forgiveness of our own iniquity and sin, our motivation becomes that of carriers of the good news of Jesus Christ. And as Isaiah said, after God asks, "Who will go for us?" Isaiah's newfound motivation, brought on by the cleansing forces cleansing forces him to shout, "Here I am, Lord, send me." Thank you so much.